Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pushing Buttons podcast. My name is Marks, and I am glad I can keep... Okay, we're not going to finish that sentence. That might have been a little bit too far. We give each other titles here on the show.
I'm excited to be here. What do you mean? I can't be excited to be here on my favorite podcast. It's you guys and the yard. That's it. And the trash taste.
The yard. Yeah. You know what? We'll take that. We'll take that. But we've got a very special guest this time around because Annie has ditched us to go all the way to Lock-In. Man, imagine going to Locked-In. Yeah. Couldn't be me.
Hi, I'm Ravish, and I'm a massive K-pop dance enjoyer / partaker. Damn right I am. I know the entire chorus, the OMG, and many other different songs. I can throw it the fuck down. What's up?
I've seen it. I've seen it happen not only in a car, but also to outside in person in general. It is quite a pleasure to see, if I'm being honest.
Thank you. All right, cool. Now, Marcus Wong, okay. Your turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go. I'm not going to say that because it's a little bit too much. I can't say that here. It's too much. I'm sorry. But you know what? I got a cast. We're both casters. And so let's roll into the Pushing Buttons podcast. On the Pushing Buttons podcast, it's an esports adjacent podcast where we just talk about things related to esports, but also too, we want to get to know some of the people behind esports. And so Ravish so kindly has decided to join us. And to kick things off, I do have to ask, what would be your top 3 anime recommendations for someone who is getting into it?
I mean, if you're just getting into anime, it's tough because it depends on what genres you really like. I try to go off of what shows you watch a lot. If there's certain like things that you're more into, some people are into action adventure, isekai, fantasy, gore, it really depends. Horror, so it can vary a lot. So like romance, there's a whole trend of it. But the most common ones I say for people who just want to experience anime, quote unquote, right? That's easy and fun to digest, and some might get you hooked. Across the board, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I find are really easy introductions. Attack on Titan as well is also like a really fun one. And I would say out of that, my personal favorite, let's go with Golden Time as well, because that's great too.
I was genuinely expecting you to say A Silent Voice. I'm not gonna lie.
No. Well, look. That's the thing. If you want to,
you're in.
If you want to get sad, like if you want to weep, bro, by all means, you can go ahead, both read and watch A Silent Voice. I love A Silent Voice.
I know you do. And so, okay, obviously this is supposed to be about esports, but at the same time, you know, there's so many other things I think that kind of speak about your entire character and kind of who you are as a person. Sure. So I kind of want to touch on some more of that type of stuff. But let's focus in on the esports just to kind of get that background now. But I do have to ask, we've talked about this a little bit, but what was your first exposure to esports? And what was the moment where you were like, you know what, this is something that I kind of want to try out, dip my toes in a little bit?
Sure. So as I'm being interviewed out of here, I'm wearing the goddamn VCT hoodie too.
Focus.
Sorry. My bad. I would say the biggest thing was probably my biggest the exposure was getting into LCS as a kid. You know, watching League of Legends back in the day, back in the glory days of TSM, watching Bjergsen, Wild Turtle, and Dyrus, right? And way back when. So you did a thing and watching LCS for years upon end and playing League of Legends as a kid up through near the tail end of middle school, getting into high school, right? Around season 4. So that was my biggest exposure. I'd say that's what got me in. And when I realized I could do this was, I think, right around after graduating university, when I was in my post-grad doing PR, I was working at a startup called Rumble Gaming. I was doing social media partnerships and a lot of things for them. But one of the clients that we represented was a caster. And then I remember I asked him about how you got into it, where I took into myself, because I was already making content for the startup, making $0, by the way, and doing other things for them. And I asked him, like, yo, is this feasible? How'd you get into it? Could I do this? And he was like, yeah, you start off by join Broadcast GG, be a professional, do this, do that, and good luck. I'm like, all right. And so I did that.
No shot the advice was good luck to you. Just like, have fun, buddy.
It was not very good advice.
I mean, I guess that kind of speaks to kind of how the industry goes and how people kind of, have a little bit of difficulties there. But that's really funny to me that they were literally like, hey, you can give it a shot. You can do it. But like, good luck to you, sir.
I mean, it was like 3 years ago, so I might be embellishing a couple of things. Nonetheless, it wasn't super helpful now that I think about it, because his main advice was get a business card, follow up with people, and and join Broadcast CG. That's pretty much it. And by the way, these are.
Let's see this.
I have my business card that I made right over here.
Hey, you're wearing a suit on him.
I am. This is one of the first headshots I ever had back when I used to do case comps Spec University. I was a speech coach, in fact, back then.
Have you ever worn a suit on broadcast? Now I have to ask.
Yes. Not a full suit, but I've worn like decent like attire. Not a tie and everything, but I've worn a blazer, pants, and like a dress shirt. And I've done that for I think 2 different events. I think it was our 2 lands that I casted. No, actually no. Only once. It was the finals of CLOL. That I wore the full fit.
Yeah. And so, you talk about your roots being in League of Legends. Hey, you know what? Are you okay? League of Legends, you doing okay up there?
Actually, fun fact, if you remember, Marcus Wong, we talked about this.
Yes.
My first roots were actually in Overwatch as a caster.
Yeah.
I started off in Overwatch 1, and while doing Overwatch 2, I used to cast Valorant in the beta days for the European League.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, fun fact.
So that was kind of like your first foray into the Valorant scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. And so, you clearly, if I'm summarizing this correctly, you started out League of Legends, Overwatch, and Valorant, just kind of testing the waters in all these different types of areas. And then when did you start to kind of slot in a little bit more and be a bit more comfortable and just like, you know what, these are the games that I want to focus on? Because as we've talked about, you kind of threw Overwatch over to the side. But what kind of made League of Legends and Valorant stand out to you as a caster?
Well, it was just the opportunities that I was getting. League of Legends for me was the first community that I got to embed myself into and learn from. Because as you got throughout the summer, right, being a new caster, you don't get many opportunities naturally. And so I just took my chances and my shots where I could. I still try to do as much as I could, right? Whether it be observing, producing, and so on and so forth. And so, because back then I didn't get a lot of chances to cast, so I would just try to learn whatever else I could to make as much money I could, right? And League of Legends was the first sort of space where I got to do that, where many people were willing to help me out, give me VOD reviews, right? Teach me how to cast and help me to hone in and learn all these different skills, such as observing and producing, and what it means to be a caster in the space, what it means to be under, what it means to be work under Daddy Riot, which is always a tricky situation, right? It was interesting and fun, and a lot of those people I have to thank for the caster that I am today.
Yeah, and speaking of the caster that you are today, at least for myself, and I imagine a lot of other casters, this is definitely going to be the case as well. There's a certain turning point where you go from just like, hey, this is kind of like a fun, cool thing that I'm doing, into like you know what? I could be really good at this. I need to start practicing more. I need to start doing the due diligence. But there's usually some event where it comes together where you're like, I want to take this a lot more seriously. Do you remember what that event was for you when you decided that, like, you know what? I want to be a caster and this is going to be my thing?
It wasn't necessarily an event, because I remember when I got into it, I remember I made a promise with my mother. When I quit my job at the bank, and when I was done my postgrad in PR, I was like, and also I quit my job at the startup because that wasn't paying payments anyways. I made a promise to my mom, and I was like, hey, there's this thing called casting. It's in esports. I know I'm already kind of working in esports already, but I want to see if I can, like do this thing with like be a talent where I can go off on my own as a freelancer. And she was like, okay, I understand. It's a bit scary as a freelancer, but she said, I'll give you 2 years. If within 2 years you're sustainable, then by all means. If you are not, you're going to have to find something to support yourself. That's completely fair. So from the jump, for me, it was all or nothing. I knew I had to, because my biggest goal coming into it was I have to find ways to be better. Constantly, I have to make connections. I have to make sure that I can prove to my mother that I can do this, and also help make her prouder, right? Because there are certain aspects to like what I do, being from an Indian household. This is not a traditional sort of outlet, right? As a grown ass man to do, because Indians have 4 choices growing up. As I told you before, Marcus, it is doctor, lawyer, engineer, and I chose option 4, which is failure.
Well, we don't know yet.
That's true. But I mean, there were always aspirations within me to continue doing this, and I think it wasn't until I got, I started making a decent amount of money where I was like, okay, I could help out my mom at home. I can help pay bills. I can help support myself and her. And until I started getting recognized by my peers, right, was where they started telling me like, yo, you have a talent for this. If you were better, if you improved, if you worked harder, you could actually do this. And I was like, okay, all right, damn, I guess I should.
Damn, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were working the Toronto Valorant LAN together, right? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure your mom was able to actually come through and see one of the times that you were casting, right?
It was the second Valorant LAN that we worked. Yeah. Well, that I worked. It was your no. It was also your second or your first, I think.
That was the first one. That
was the first one that you did. Yeah. She did come through, and she did watch me cast. Yeah. So that was definitely a cool moment, I'd say. Because at the first one, I know she wanted to try and come, but it was kind of tough between us having guests and stuff. But it was interesting where she said that she could only hear me, right? But it was nice to have her in the environment. And then what was cool was that while she was around me, some people were like came up and they said hi and they fist bumped me. Someone asked for an autograph, and I was like,
okay. Wait, you got asked for an autograph?
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh damn. That's why you asked for a bit of payment for this one.
Yeah. I started adapting. Yo, thank you, G. Yeah, so it was nice. I mean, like, naturally, she doesn't really understand what's going on, right? Because she's watching Valorant. She doesn't really get it. It's also kind of hard to hear me, but it was just a nice little environment. And I'm glad that she got to be there and see me do my thing.
Yeah, like it almost validates the work that you've been putting in to do all of this, especially too if you've made that promise. Even if I guess like your mom doesn't fully understand what's going on, the fact that she was able to come through and still support and see you be successful. I mean, hey, you're handing out autographs. You got to be successful, right?
Here's the thing, though. That wasn't even the moment, though, Marcus. You know what it was?
Oh,
it was the night. So it was the day after the night my career hit its peak, right? Yeah. It was the.
Okay, hold on a second. You can't just say the night my career hit its peak.
Well, it's there.
You never know. It's ups and downs.
So the night that my career hit its peak, the night that I said the thing that everybody knows me for. If you're new here, about last year around this time, actually, I should check the date. It might be soon. Around this time. I was on a TSM versus 100 Thieves game, and also the TSM NRG. Well, 100 Thieves NRG before, right? NRG was debuting. With TSM. No, it was 100 Thieves debuting their new roster TSM with a lot of old guys coming in. So it was an interesting time, and there was a lot of hype around. It was it was on nights, and I got to say the sentence. Yeah. Yeah, yes, they move out of the way. They don't want no peaks, just they want zero smoke. They see a fire, they say, bet I'm outie. I'm not a firefighter. Y'all can have that.
Okay. Because so listen, before we even started this, I had a couple of points that I wanted to make sure that we hit, and this was definitely going to be one of those because, that was like a big moment in your entire just like persona that everyone just kind of became familiarized with, right?
Yeah, because that happened that night. The world found out that I existed, that I was a caster, and things were pretty okay from there.
Yeah. And also, too, I just want to peel the curtain back a little bit, talking about that specific moment, right? Because we've kind of talked about it off the record, of course. But how do you personally feel about how that entire cast went, I guess?
If I say looking back on it, the cast wasn't my best, right?
Yeah.
I would also say, and I've said it previously, That was the time I was also casting and working for the LFL as well. So that morning I've been up since about 6:30 in the morning. I went in that day, and because our second play-by-play Visions actually was sick that day, so me and Beatdown Boulevard casted 5 best of ones, right?
Oh my goodness,
back to back. It was we did 5 best of ones, and we were hopping in and out from between being on the desk as well with Sierra. So and we did we put in our 4 or 5 hours there. Then I drove my ass home in traffic, right? Got to the broadcast, and then did 2 best of 3s that night with the semis and the finals with I think with 100 Energy and the TSM 100.
Yep.
I casted, and I was for maybe about another 5 hours, right? So almost 11 hours that day I've been casting. I was exhausted. So my brain and my mouth were on autopilot. And I just said, with that line once again, I just said it. I was trying to catch myself. Our mutual friend Betty, I think she put it the best, where she says, "It sounds like you're falling down the stairs and trying to catch yourself at every step." And that is exactly it.
And you know what? Hey, all things considered, it kind of worked out, because for quite a few people, that kind of put you on the radar, right? Like, a lot of people were kind of drawn towards the clip, and I think that just kind of helped get your name out there a little bit more. Would you not agree?
Yeah, 100%, right? Big shout out to Real Mocking, right? Who actually was the person who tweeted out the clip, helped put my name on the map. And a lot of people saw that clip. A lot of people commented on it. It went crazy over the entire Valorant scene. So that was it was a big time, right? I remember during the cast in itself, I started off that cast with around 800 or so followers. Yeah. I ended the night with 2,000. And then I woke up to another 1,500.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was insanity. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, just a smidge. And so I do want to pivot the conversation a little bit, because actually something that I've been noticing just while you've been talking this entire time, and something that I've just noticed from you as a person, whenever we're hanging out in person or we're attending events together, working events together, is you are really damn good at actually getting out there and talking to people. And this does tie in a little bit into getting your name out there and people knowing who you are. But at the same time, how do you do it, but how did you get so, I guess, connected with the production community inside of League, inside of Valorant, and just kind of in general? Because even some of the Overwatch guys knew who you are.
Which I'm shocked by. But it's but for me, it's always been a philosophy of you interact with whoever, wherever, however, right? Now it can seem a bit sleazy at times when you're thinking about, social climbing and networking and such, but that's a lot of what the industry is. People have to know who you are. People have to know you exist naturally. And for me, it comes from because I did business school, right, as my undergrad, and I did PR afterwards. And so what you were taught, the lessons you were hammered home, is that you have to be presentable. You have to be almost extroverted to a sense, and you have to come off as likable, right? Because you are there for a job.
Yeah.
In a lot of those conferences, case competitions that I've been to, networking events, right? It's a lot of just shilling yourself to whoever you meet, whoever you see, because those are connections that you might need later on in the day. So I just carry that with me wherever I go. Now, there's an aspect of just being a decent person to whoever you're with, right? But
that always helps.
Exactly, yeah. Because why shouldn't you be? They've done you no wrong. And that's kind of the aspect I go wherever I am, because people are just people, bro. If you've done me no wrong, then why do I have to just be weird and standoffish necessarily, right? And also, always the biggest thing is people may not remember what you say to them, but they will always remember how you make them feel.
Oh, that's really damn good. I almost want to frame that on my wall. Very well said, though. I think that's a really interesting thing, and you're 100% correct, especially to what I've personally noticed in the scene. Compared to you, I do not do a pretty decent job at all of trying to put myself out there a little bit more. For me, it's more just, I'm here to kind of work the broadcast. And then when I kind of bump elbows with you in the production booth and stuff like that, that's when I'm going to be able to chat with you. But, you're right. If you want to be able to figure, not just kind of get your name out there, but work with people and have them be aware of who you are as a person and be nice, I think you can get a lot more as well. Because it's kind of like we're all this giant community. And if people are friendly towards each other in the community, then it's just going to be that much better of a time.
Esports is a giant microcosm of the macro that is gaming, which is already such a niche aspect of a lot of it. But when you are so engrossed in it, it feels like your entire world. But when you step outside, your average person hasn't even touched the game Valorant, nor do they know what that means. Right? They don't know that LCS Finals is happening in Raleigh, North Carolina today. They have never heard the name Captain Flowers. They don't know. They don't know that Machine and Sponge had one of the greatest calls in CSGO history. They have no idea, right? It's what exists here is our world, but what exists outside is the actual world. And that's kind of what you have to rationalize a lot of the times when you're both doing this and stepping out as well. It's a really interesting dynamic. But people like to feel like they're also special too, so.
I mean, yeah, that always helps. And I think that, like, in kind of a way, like having esports is like a common conversational topic with a bunch of people who you know are also going to know what you're talking about. That kind of helps people like find and feel more comfortable and just kind of like interacting with you as well. It's a conversation topic.
100%, right? Because once again, having small bits of connection built, so the sales term is building rapport with people, right? Building
Take notes, everybody at home.
It's it is a not an easy thing to do, but finding small bits of interest between the two of them, matching their energy and their body language is one thing you can do to make people open up easily. These are sales techniques that I learned when I worked both in many sales environments where I was a door-to-door salesman too. So that's also a little bit also why I am the way I am. Also why I'm not afraid to talk to many people, because I was forced to do that as a job.
Yeah. That's honestly, hey, I had to work service jobs too. And yeah, it makes you like have to talk to people and interact with people. And quite frankly, it was a pretty good exercise in, you know, just being able to deal with other people in general. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, makes total sense.
Yeah. And it sucks when you knock on somebody's door at 3 p.m. on the day and you're like, hey, can I talk to you? Nope. Bye. Just you learn to deal with rejection very quickly and very efficiently.
Has anyone actually slammed a door on you?
Yes,
like
many times, bro.
Oh no! Have you ever gotten hurt by a slamming door?
No, I always stand a decent enough distance away. But you know, I've gotten the keyhole, I've gotten the whole go away, not interested. I've gotten the what? Just no, and then bye. I've gotten it all, man. Yeah. It's look, people don't like solicitors, especially when it's something they don't care about. And right, I'm here in this like oversized blazer. I'm at the point I'm probably 5'4". Right? I've got no beard. I've got like these weird like rimmed glasses. I don't look inviting. Right? I'm just this chubby kid with long curly hair that's very unkempt, asking them for 5 minutes out of their day for some bullshit. No. Yeah.
Hey, at least you also recognize that it was going to be bullshit, right? So at least there's a mutual understanding there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But sales tip number 2, you have to believe in the product you're selling, because if you don't believe in it, then other people will not either.
It all just falls apart. Okay, well, exactly. Also too, with you just kind of like working in esports for quite a long time, one of the biggest things that we've discussed on Pushing Buttons and personally has been something that's always been, I guess, like a hardship for me is not just kind of like losing myself and getting extremely like stressed out, overworked, burnt out. And I'm sure that you've experienced a little bit of this too. It seems like everybody in this industry has. And so I do want to ask you a bit about a moment when you felt like you were the most burnt out ever. And what was the thing that made you just like helped you get through it? And like also to stick with esports? Because I think that once some people hit that point, they're like, I'm done. Can't do this anymore. I need my life back.
Firstly, you're telling me that Annie got burnt out and stressed? What?
I know, it's crazy.
That's crazy. Annie gets stressed? Nah.
Imagine that.
I am shocked at you. But the exact moment I remembered, because it was the first time I experienced burnout and realized what it was It was during the time that I was doing my postgrad. Now now we had 8 a.m. classes, and I had an hour and a half commute. So that means that I was up at 5:30 a.m. every single day, right? And we had classes 5 days a week, 2 classes a day, 8 courses a week, because it was a 1 year intensive. It was a lot of work. I was doing that. I was also working my job at the bank. I was pulling 3 shirts a week because I needed money. And I was also working at Rumble Gaming, doing social and whatever else they needed me to do, and pulling content. Yeah. So I was up at 5:30 a.m. every single day, Monday to Friday, whether it be school, startup, or bank job. Yep. Pulling my shifts, doing my schoolwork, doing startup stuff at night. And it was 7 days. I did not have any time to stop and breathe. Like, my life was like, it wasn't bad, but it sucked where every single one of my days was planned out with something. It was, I would wake up, I would either go to school, I would go to work, and I'd go home and do schoolwork or do other work. And that was it. I had no time to myself. And naturally, after maybe about a month of this, I got burnt out pretty bad. It was horrible. I did not after a month, after 4 months of that, I think. Yeah.
Jeez.
After 4 months of that, it took me a long time to recognize. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, everything is so shit. I don't care about anything anymore. I want to just sleep.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense to me. And so understanding what burnout was then, like, how do you make sure that you don't burn out nowadays? Obviously, you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm not working that much, so everything is going to be fine. But like, how do you kind of keep that in check as you're continuing to work in the esports scene?
I have quiet moments myself. I have just amounts of my days where I listen to just me, especially specifically, for example, when I go eat. When I go downstairs, right, I'm like, if anybody in the kitchen, I don't really do nothing there. But I go down, I make my food, I put on whatever video to drown out the noises in my head, and then I just eat. I put on whatever mind-numbing show for 20 minutes, and then that is it. I don't check my phone about nothing. I don't look at any of my notifications. I simply just consume my food, and my life can begin after those 30 to 40 minutes. That's it. I do that twice a day, and that's my solace.
That sounds honestly very meditative, if I'm being honest.
It's a nice way to shut out the world, right? Because look, I'm also a big fan of food. If you couldn't tell, I enjoy being able to eat my food in peace because food is good, food is nourishing, and like, if I'm just gonna mess around and just swallow everything, scarf everything down, I see no point to actually even eating most of the time. Because if you're just swallowing food when you're like 5 minutes before a broadcast, like, okay, I'm almost there. That sounds horrible, Marcus.
Why are you saying my name?
I wonder why. When Hamid hasn't been a call with you, I was heard, hold on, I'm supposed to go hot dog. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. The Marcus special is basically just like, oh shit, I'm on broadcast in half an hour. Perfect, my dinner's just ready to go. And like, while we're literally setting cameras up and stuff like that, I'm just scarfing my food down. And in between breaks and stuff like that, I'm just trying to shovel it down my mouth. So very, very different eating mentality than kind of what you bring to the table. But yours sounds a lot better, if I'm being honest.
It's also healthier because you're chewing your food.
Yeah, that's true too. If you just cut it small enough that you don't need to chew, it's the perfect solution. That's
true. It's just, that reminds me, you know what? Here's the thing.
Okay.
I think I have a better title for you based on the one that you couldn't say.
Okay.
I think you can call yourself Marcus, I can lift your girl Wong.
I can lift your girl. Why?
Because you were deceptively strong. That's why.
Oh yeah, that's true. I am deceptively strong.
Yeah, you would think that you were just some skinny schmuck on the outside, but nah, man, you're jacked. No one knows. That's the issue.
I do okay. It's more for me, It's not for everybody.
You bench 325, don't you?
No. Who the hell told you that?
I don't know. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. So
this
you
is the
deadlift
weightlifting
300?
portion of the podcast. Yeah, I have deadlifted over 300 before.
Yeah. You dead 300. I'm pretty sure you squat 250, or don't you?
Yeah, I've squatted up to 300 before as well.
You squat 300. What are you dead?
The top that I got to for deadlifting, I think, was 330. I think was the
And then what do you bench then?
The bench was the worst because I kind of hurt my arm a long time ago. But
yeah, no shit.
I think, yeah, no, it all kind of makes sense now, huh? I can't remember. I think it was 280 was the top that I got to for a bench press.
That's sick. You're benching 300, bro.
Not quite.
That's nuts.
I'm uncomfortable right now. I don't know what to do when people compliment me. This is an ongoing thing. I don't know what to do right now.
That's called that's called not being self-assured. I think.
Oh man, I'm gonna have a long conversation with the man in the mirror after we're done wrapped up here.
It's called not being comfortable in your own skill, Marcus. That's
something like that.
We do want to work on that. I don't know how
I'm 27. It's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude. Yeah, wait. Look, you're 27. You're 5'9". You bench 450.
5'10". Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
People are trying to tell me that I am not 5'10", but I am 5'10". Let the record show.
And that's the insecurity.
Yep, there you go. Stop peeling back my psyche. This is supposed to be about you, not about me.
This is so much more fun, though. This is
no.
Like you're doing your own thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not even like you're maidenless. You're doing your thing.
Okay, well, to bring this back around, I do want to bring something up with you because something really stood out to me in some of our previous conversations.
What?
Where, you've told me that, you're an immigrant here from
I
India.
am.
Yes. And growing up,
yes.
You actually played a decent amount of fighting games, did you not?
I did. I always was Tekken my favorite fighting game growing up. I believe it was Tekken like 1 or 2. And I'd be playing, and the machines will obviously be dominated by all the older kids, right? And of course, the rules of arcades, winner stays on, and I never stayed on.
No.
I was very bad at the game. It was not great, and I played Paul Phoenix. And Paul Phoenix, for those who don't know, in Tekken, is a very technical character. He's not somebody you can just pick up. Like, he's not easy. Which was the toughest part. Paul Phoenix was cool though. His giant ass afro as well was super sick.
So with that love for just like Tekken and stuff like that, have you you still talk very highly of it? Have you kept up with just like fighting games in general, given that like it kind of has meant like that much to you?
Yeah, dude. I to anybody out there watching, if you have Tekken 7, I will play you. I promise. We can run any day of any week. I love playing Tekken. Not enough people do because it's a 3D fighter, right? It's a little bit more niche, which is tough. And I'm not really good at platform fighters, but I grew up playing all the big titles. I grew up playing Melee, Smash Ultimate, right? And then of course Street Fighter, Tekken as well, and all the other ones like Soul Calibur. I played a bunch of. Dead or Alive I played.
Boy.
Yeah. Dead or Alive. There was the Samurai, I think Samurai Showdown as well I played. King of Fighters, right? I love Mortal Kombat. I love the FGC and I love fighting games in general, and I love watching Evo as well. Every single year I'll catch up with Smash tournament every now and then because the Smash community is something that I love and aspire and would love to be part of because just how passionate they are. That's what I kind of grew up in, being a League of amateur scene. So big fan of the amateur scene and the FGC.
Yeah, and so if you had the opportunity to play your fighting game of choice against anybody in the world,
Tekken.
Give me three names who you would just like really just want to play Tekken against. Even if you just like, they don't even have to be players. They could literally be anybody.
Oh man, play against anybody. So I want to play against Mango, the GOAT. He's just the GOAT. Like there's no doubt about it. He's up there. Besides that, I think I would love to play also. Swing me Abraham Lincoln. I'll go ahead and run him down in some goddamn Guilty Gear. Let's run it, bro. We're gonna show you what happened 7 years ago. You got your ass whooped. That's what happened. All right.
You're going for Honest Abe?
I'm going for Honest Abe, bro. He's about to be rage quit Abe after I'm done with him. Me and Golden Boy could run it because then you don't know who's on whose side when you're looking at player cams.
Whoa, that's true actually. No, you guys are distinguishable. Depends on what type of haircut's going on,
I'm gonna shave tonight, bro. That we learn.
Well, shit. There you go. Man of the a mirror matchup one, you could even say.
I could, yeah. It's actually a literal mirror matchup.
So I'm kind of curious then, have you ever considered like getting into casting fighting games or like trying to be a part of that scene at all? Or do you just kind of, or do you want to just look at it as like an outside observer type of thing?
So both. I've casted Smash Ultimate a bunch. I went to a local here, in fact, in Toronto to like just cast some Ultimate just for fun. I've casted Ultimate online, just for collegiate. But I would love to be part of more of the Tekken scene. Man, I love Tasty Steve. He's one of my favorite commentators of all time in general. He's one of the best in the FGC and Tekken specifically. The way he also effortlessly just puts in quips when he's talking about the game, he's so good, and he's kind of what I aspire, right? Because I've noticed I've taken, when I cast, like my accent, as people say, or how I talk about the game can be a little bit FGC-esque, but this is kind of just how I talk. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that kind of makes sense. And I actually have a question here from Annie. She
actually asked you a question. Hi, Annie.
Yeah. So, do you see yourself in any other roles in esports just outside of like hosting, casting, and like doing that content type of pieces?
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to plan conferences back when I was in uni. So I would say being a event manager is something that I would definitely look at and be really interested in, right? Where, being able to set up stages, plan out events, right? Run through what timelines, and then making sure everything is running smoothly. Like it's just, it's a very stressful thing, but it comes with such a large amount of satisfaction when you get near the end of it, right? And like when everything just runs well, it is euphoria in of itself.
Yeah, it's big like project coordination type of vibes, right? Yeah. Event coordination, that's probably the right words there. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, noted. Maybe we'll see you behind the scenes at a couple of different events, depending on how some things shake out. It'd be pretty cool. As long as you get me free passes, that's the only thing, right? No. You got me, buddy? Oh, man. I tried. Oh, thanks, buddy. Okay, so just kind of like a fun little closing thing, because we started out on talking about, anime and stuff like that. And you kind of are one of my go-to guys when I'm just like, okay, if I see a big series or I'm thinking about watching something, I'm gonna hit up my boy Ravish because he knows what's going on. But how did you get so into anime and manga and stuff like that?
This is a fun story. In terms of manga, when I first came here as a kid, my mom wanted me to learn English because I didn't speak English at all when I came here around grade 3 or 4, right? I think I was like 8, 9 years old. So mom wanted me to read. So when she would go to the library pretty much weekly, and she would get me books. She'd get me like both like small like young adult books and manga, because she was like, oh, they have pictures in them, he might read them. What she didn't know was that manga were serialized. So I would read volumes 1, 2, 3, and next week I read volume 9. Be like, wait, he died? Wait, he's back? What happened? What am I missing here? Not even I knew, right? I was a kid. But that was cool. Some of the ones that I read back then, which are just some like goats, being I read Rave Master, Beat the Vandal Buster, and Hikaru no Go, and also D Gray Man were the 4 that I read back in the day as a kid. When I got into manga, I was a casual manga watcher because a lot of my friends, watch Dragon Ball Z, watch Naruto, watch Bleach, right? Just all the big 3. So I was a casual. I had watched this since I was a kid because it used to be on Toonami at night, and then just keep up online wherever you could. But the moment it changed, where it all shifted, the TSN
turning point.
Exactly. My breaking point was, I remember I was in first year. I was very, very sad, actually. And
no. This is always how people get into it.
Yep. I was really depressed. But and I think I was taking one summer school course, and I was like, let me just watch some anime. And I remember my gateway was watching Gurren Lagann, and I was so pissed off at the ending. I remember I was mad for like 2 days. Then I was like, how do I fill this hole in my heart caused by anime? I'm watching more anime. and then throughout the year, I went deep, and like I think I've read over 1,000 manga. I've watched like 400 plus anime at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. You went full weeb. That was, once again, you just like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and the next thing you know, here we are.
I learned Japanese throughout those years, man. That's the thing. I'm conversational at this point. Not because of that, but because, I seeked out other resources and tried to learn hiragana, katakana. I went to language meetups a lot, but, that was the whole start of it,
Yeah. No, that's actually wild. I actually didn't know that you were conversational in Japanese either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Honestly, like, it's kind of funny too, because one of the things, so when we went to Philadelphia together and we were doing the summer champs there, I remember you had told me, you're just like, oh yeah, like I read manga before going to bed. That's kind of like my thing to do. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Because I feel like most people nowadays is just like, watch a quick little YouTube video and then go to sleep. But then when I got back, I started doing exactly what you do. And like, it's so good, but at the same time, it's so bad because you're like, oh, I'll just read a couple of chapters. Like 3 hours later, it's like, I'm screwed. I've gone down the rabbit hole and I am not getting out.
That's the worst part, is when you finish like all your updates on things that you're catching up on, and you're like, I want to find something, I'm not quite sleepy, and you find something great, and you're like, oh no.
Oh no, the sun is rising. What has happened? Oh no.
I remember more specifically what I remember. I started Inuyasha at night, which I don't know if you ever read or watched. Really, really good manga and anime as well. Phenomenal in general. And I was like, chapter 2, I'll start this off. Next thing I know, 40 chapters in, it's 4 a.m. I'm like, I have class in an hour and a half. I have to be up. Like, it's so bad.
When it just grabs you so hard that you can't escape with your feeble weeb hands.
It was so good, man. Just she's going around like bang.
Oh, yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly throw things over to Annie for a quick little update on what was gonna be the coolest broadcast set that they've been able to see at Lock-In. And also too, I'm genuinely curious how often Annie's yelled "Bing chilling" at people. So here's Annie.
Hello, friends. This is Anniepoo. I'm feeling really awkward right now because I'm in a hotel cafe. I am no longer at VCT Lock-In at the time of this recording. The team I was with has unfortunately been eliminated. So I took a spontaneous trip to New York City, where I'll be for a little bit before heading back to Seattle. But Marks had a few questions for me that I did not get to answer while I was at Lock-In, so I'm going to take the time to answer them now. First one was, what is the coolest broadcast set that you've seen? And let me list out the sets I've been on really quick. So I've been to the HyperX Arena, I've been to Thunder Studios for Astral Clash, and I've been to VCT Lock-In. So yeah, VCT Lock-In was, I think, my third Valorant LAN specifically. And, also, I guess I've seen Toronto Valorant, but I was not working Toronto Valorant. Either way, all things into the mix. VCT Lock-In was definitely the coolest set that I've been on IRL. It looked really cool in the broadcast, but it looked even cooler in person. I did get to see a preview of it, of course, being a staff member there. And the first time I walked in, I was like, holy crap. This is amazing. I've never seen a 360 degree, like a full circle stage before, so that was really cool. I also loved the lighting, and the branding of VCT Lock-In was also really well reflected in that stage as well. Something that I don't think was caught on the broadcast that a lot of people could see is, like, on two opposite sides of the stage were the two different productions. So on one side of the stage was the local production with the Portuguese casters and talent, Portuguese-speaking casters and talent. And on the other side of the stage was the global production that most people saw on the Valorant YouTube and Twitch channels in English. So that was really cool. And yeah, I got to see walkouts for the first time with the audience. I stood kind of behind the audience seats, a bit hidden, for the NRG versus Koi game. And that moment where the stage changes from Valorant Red into the lock-in lighting and the players start walking out for the first time, that was just a really incredible moment, and I'm really happy to have been there for that. So that's a bit cool thing about broadcast set for VCT lock-in. I'm sure I'll be talking about it more in a month. I think a month from the time this episode releases, when I'm back home. But yeah, second question that Marks had for me was, how many times have you yelled Bing chilling at people? And I am proud to say only once. I have said the Bing chilling script at somebody. Yeah, I'm not going to give any context. You can guess the context for why I yelled Bing chilling at somebody at VCT Lock-in, and it was actually not to one of the Chinese teams or to a Chinese staff member. It was to somebody who didn't understand what I was saying. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy my time in New York. Next week I'll also record a bit of a segment for you guys from here as well. Okay, goodbye. Anniepoo out.
加上我现在我有冰淇淋
Oh man, I can't escape it. It's still here. I tried to get the Bing chilling out, and you brought the Bing chilling right back in. This meme is actually coming back. But okay, thank you so much for the update there, Annie. And
Hi, Annie.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me this episode, Ravish. Do you have any final thoughts or anything for any of our listeners or watchers?
みんな、俺のとマークと見てくれてありがとうございました。ぜひ、あなたのビューシップをとっても好きし。No.
Damn, you just flexed on me so fucking hard right now.
I would say, hey guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Your viewership is very much appreciated. Thank you so much. And,
oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. So the word I used was beautiful.
We are beautiful here, aren't we? Okay, well, Ravish, where can people find you if they are interested in seeing more of your work?
You can find me everywhere at Ravishing Cats or Ravishing Ravish to the bastard who's holding it. Give it to me. I know you don't deserve it. Thanks.
Ravish, I'll call my guy. We'll get a team together. We'll find this guy and we'll take him out.
Sounds good.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Legally, for legal purposes, that was a joke. I just like to remind everybody that is not going to be the case.
He's not joking.
But,
it's not.
But we're going to get to that handle, buddy.
He's not joking. He means it.
All right.
That's all serious.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching the Pushing Buttons podcast or listening if you are on the audio platform. Once again, if you want to keep up with kind of what's going on with the podcast, then make sure to follow us on Twitter at PushButtonsPod. And obviously, liking, subscribing, commenting, or leaving us a review on the podcasting platform. All of that stuff kind of helps out. While Annie is away, I'm bringing on a couple of fun guests, actually just mostly in the GTA area. That's the greater Toronto area, because we keep it local here. Also too, sorry, this was something that I did want to bring up, but like, it is so cool to me, the fact that just in working these broadcasts, that I've been able to go and meet people like yourself and like a bunch of our other friends just kind of in Toronto, where, you know, we can actually physically hang out. And I know Annie kind of gave me a little bit of shit for that before, because she was like, oh, you don't know how lucky you are. And like, just while you're here on the microphone, I'm very grateful for our friendship, Ravish.
You're welcome, Marcus. You're welcome for me asking you to come fix my computer and having things work out from there. And I didn't murder you when you came over.
Nope, thank God. Otherwise, this wouldn't exist. But okay, alrighty. And that just about wraps it up. Of course, if you have a friend as well who you think might be interested, then recommend him an episode. There's a ton of fun content to dig through.
Watch it.
Yeah, or listen to it, because we're on podcasting platforms. Yes, very important. But with that, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with yet another very fun guest. While Annie once again is ditched us because Annie has decided that they are at a tier 1 level while we are just little plebs and peasants. Boo. I know, right? Boo. But anyways, we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much, Ravish, for joining me. And thank you so much for listening and watching. Bye, everybody.
Johnny.